Some people will be critical of libertarians who talk about anarchy because, there's no magic button to push that's going to make Washington, D.C. go away tomorrow. And in that sense, they're right. But it is actually policy relevant for other people in the world. There's lots of weak and failed states, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa, that do a really bad job of providing governance. And often international efforts are at propping up those bad states. And they say, well, if they collapsed, it would be anarchy, like Somalia. And everybody automatically assumes that must be worse. But actually, if your alternative is not a semi-limited government like we have in the United States, but an extraordinarily predatory state like a lot of sub-Saharan Africa is, if you can have an ordered anarchy there, it might be both policy relevant and superior. I'm Benjamin Powell. I'm the executive director of the Free Market Institute at Texas Tech University, where I'm also a professor of economics in the Rawls College of Business. Comparative institutional analysis is really important. So we can have ideal anarchy theory and compare it to ideal governance theory and talk about that, but we can also talk about what's the institutional feasibility some places. You can write whatever you want down on paper, but that's not your real world alternative. So the question we have to ask in a situation like that is, in a crappy predatory state that they're likely to get, what's their anarchy like? Now, it's not going to be an ideal one like some libertarians think about, but does it do functional governance enough that it can provide a decent foundation of property rights for exchange to take place in some level of coordination that is superior to what they'd get under an extraordinarily predatory state? And I think that's what we've seen for periods of time in Somalia since they lost their state in 1991, essentially. I think there's a kind of fatal conceit among the planners of international development that see a failed state and think we need to put one in place as if we can design it and impose it there, when really these things need to grow spontaneously from the bottom up. And what's feasible in one place might not be in another. And what we've seen in Somalia at periods of time, they did have some civil war and chaos, but once it became obvious that no one clan was going to be the new monopoly government, things kind of settled down, and they have a version of customary law with some competition based into it. So I think you have to be really careful about extrapolating too many lessons from a case like Somalia to, say, the United States. The point of the Somalia one is not that they have some libertarian anarchy that's ideal. It's that their alternative is a really lousy state or a kind of lousy anarchy, and their lousy anarchy provides enough self-governance to get things going by that's better than the civil war and strife that they face otherwise. That doesn't translate into, if the United States got rid of its government tomorrow, it would A, look like Somalia, or B, be better or worse. Instead, we need to think about other ways that we provide governance in the United States. And Edward Stringham has a great book out there called Private Governance, which explores a lot of ways on the margin that these type of things are put into effect to give us private governance in the United States already today.